Hi there, and welcome to Board Games with Scott. This is a weekly video log or vlog where I take a board game, explain it, and review it to let you know if it's a game you might want to buy or not. This week I'm going to be talking about the game called Heroscape. This is a game where you can get in a normal toy store like a Toys R Us. It's put up by Milton Bradley. It is a game about buying miniatures and fighting with those miniatures. It's a miniatures battle game, and it's an introduction to much more complex miniatures battle games. This is a game that can be played by kids. They've been marketing it towards kids, but it's actually a fairly good game as well. Another nice feature about this game, which I'll talk about, is that you can play it with both kids and adults in mixed groups. And so it's a combination time travel, space travel miniatures game. You've got dragons and knights and ninjas and men in black, and so stuff from the future and Revolutionary War soldiers and all sorts of oogie things to use in trying to defeat the enemy. Basically, the game is two sides fighting each other. That's pretty much the game. So that should tell you right away if it's something you're interested in or not. If you don't like that idea, then it's a game you'll want to pass on. But in case you are interested, well, let's see what comes in all of these boxes. Here are some of the pieces that come in the basic game. The highlight of the game are the dolls. Oh, be careful. If you call these things dolls in front of someone who's really into this kind of stuff, they may say bad words. But, well, you know, they're dolls. So, you get 30 or so of these dolls. This is one of the biggest ones, the dragon. And you've got smaller ones and a typical size of these little guys. And they're from different time periods. You've got a robot and a dragon and samurai, and we got men in black over here. You get these terrain tiles. You get a bunch of terrain tile. And what's great about the terrain tile is that they interlock. You take one and slide it into the other like this, and they interlock, and you can stack them as well. So you can end up having a really neat, big, laid-out board, and it's all going to stick together. So if someone bumps the board, it's not going to cause trouble. You get a card for each of your units. These cards will represent a unit that will either be several smaller figures or one bigger figure. And you're going to use these to know what the units do and to track how they're doing throughout the game. You get some dice, both regular 20-sided dice, which you use, and these colored dice, which are used for combat. You've got the blue and red dice, red for attacking and blue and defending. Combat is very easy. You roll the dice, you subtract the skull heads from the shields, and that's how much damage is taken. You're going to get some markers, which you'll use to indicate when your different people are going during the turn of play. You also get some nice little walls and little tiles to make rivers on the board, and also small tiles known as glyphs that are going to give you special abilities if you're on that tile. So, now that you see what comes in the box, let's look a bit more closely at how gameplay works. On your turn, you move on the board. The way this works is you use these small movement markers I talked about earlier that have the numbers 1, 2, 3, and X on them. What you will do is when you're planning your moves, you'll look at the cards for all the units that you have available, and you'll put these little numbered shields on the cards. So if you want one person to move several times, you can put several numbered shields on their card. You also have one X, which means that that unit will not actually move at that time, but it's a fake out for your opponent. So you can put all 4 of those on one of your cards, and that troop will get to move 3 times throughout that turn. So what you'll do during the planning stage is plan out which units you want to move in which order. This system makes it nice in that if you want a unit to move several times, you can do that, but then your other units will just stand around. Then once both players have placed their movements, they roll dice for initiative, and then the person who wins initiative moves their number 1 troop and attacks with them. Then the other side moves their number 1 troop and attacks with them, and goes back and forth until you've gone through 1, 2, and 3. So when you have fewer troops on the board, you're still going to get as many moves. You'll just be moving the same troop multiple times. There's some rules about movement, about how high you can jump. You can basically jump the height of your figure in levels. There's things about crossing water and hiding. The glyphs on the board give you special abilities if you move on to them. Some of them you have to have someone on the glyph. Like this fellow is on a move +2 glyph, which is going to help everyone on his side move faster. There's healing glyphs and summoning glyphs, and so those glyphs can give you something to fight for. But basically, that's the way the battles go. You go back and forth, you move, you fight, until one side or the other is destroyed. So let's take a look at combat in action. Here we have 3 samurai warriors going up against 1 dragon. In order to know how this works, you need to refer to the individual cards for each of the sides. You can see that the cards tell you the dragon has 5 life, it can move 6 spaces, it has a range of 1 space, it attacks with 4 dice and defends with 3 dice. You can see the samurais each have 1 life, they move 6 spaces, they have a range attack of 1 space, the attack is 2 dice and the defense is 5 dice. So if you have a unit that's a single big piece, it's going to have a number of life, and you use little markers to indicate that they've taken hits. If your unit is made up of several little guys, several dolls, then once each one takes a hit, they die. The number at the bottom, 150 and 60, is how many points the troop is worth. The way that this game starts is you draft armies. You say, we're going to play with 300 points worth of armies. And then you take turns taking these troop cards until you've used up your 300 points. Now, many of the monsters have special abilities, which you can see detailed there on the side. The dragon has the special ability of breathing fire and flying. The samurais have special ability of a counter-strike. One clever thing in this game is how they handle line of sight. If you look on the cards, there's a little red symbol on each of the cards, and some things that are in white. And basically anything that is in red is something you can hit. So if you want to see if you have line of sight on someone, you squat down behind the figure in question, you look, and if you can see any of the things that are marked in red on their little picture, then you can shoot at them. One of the other things I like about these cards is that they're different on the other side. The other side provides a very simple way to play the game. There's no special abilities. They just have move, range, attack, and defense. So if you're playing this game with younger kids and you don't want to get into all of the craziness, you can just use this side of the cards, and it makes it a much simpler game. So when it's your unit's turn to move in a combat, you activate your unit, you move each guy, and then you attack with them. So let's say that these samurai are going to attack the dragon. We can see that the samurai's attack is 2, so we take 2 of the red dice. And we can see the dragon's defense is 3, so we take 3 of the blue dice. And then we roll all the dice. And you just look to see we got 2 skulls and we got 2 shields, therefore no damage was done. That's how combat works. It's very simple. You then get to attack for each of the other samurai to see if any damage gets through. When the dragon attacks, the dragon will have 4 dice, the samurai will have 5 dice in defense. The samurai have some special abilities that will come into play then as well. You may be wondering how you set the board up. Well, you can just grab pieces and set it up, or the game comes with a number of scenarios in this scenario book that show you level by level how to set up a large playing field and then gives you a scenario to play. These work fairly well. There's also a community that's formed up around this game. If you go to heroscapehq.com, you can be part of this community. People create scenarios, there are scenario development tools, and all sorts of ways to continue expanding your Heroscape game. I do want to talk a little bit more about the expansions that have come out. Ever since they brought out the game, they continue to bring out more and more expansions. Some of the expansions come out in packages like this, where there will be 4 of these blister packs that are in one expansion, and there are different types of troops. And then they've also released some of these larger box expansions. This one, for example, gives you a nice bridge and some larger trees and a troll to guard the bridge. This one gives you a big scary skeleton dragon and other critters. This one is a volcano terrain, and volcano monsters, if you don't want to step on this because it's hot and lava-like and full of death. So, that's Heroscape. If you like the sound of it, 2 armies fighting it out, it's a nice, simple way to get into this sort of game. What's nice about it is, unlike other collectible games of its ilk, if you want to buy something extra, you know what it is you're getting. You don't have to buy 20 packages hoping for a certain rare doll. So while it's expandable, it's not really collectible in like a collectible card game or collectible miniatures game. You know what it is you're getting. So if you really want to go out and get your Kilts and Commandos, you can just go buy the Kilts and Commandos package. One thing I want to mention about one of the packages, this is something interesting. This package is a Volcanic Wasteland Set. It's got lava tiles, hot lava death tiles. There's actually a story behind that. I want to explain that story to you. If you open up this box, you're going to see on the inside flap there's going to be a white sticker. And if you remove that sticker, you're going to see a little guy under there saying Hot Lava Death. Here's the story behind that. One of the first podcasts about board games was Geek Speak, now called Board Game Speak, which is run by the people who do Board Game Geek. And they interviewed some of the folks who were involved with this. And when those folks were giving little teasers about what was coming up, one of them said, Hot Lava Death! Kind of like that. And that became a joke. That became a running joke on the show about the Hot Lava Death game. So when this actually came out, someone along the way decided to put a little image of a guy saying, Hot Lava Death! And then, of course, I'm sure someone else found out about that and didn't think it was too funny and put a white sticker over it. But it's kind of neat that a podcast had an impact on a game that came out in production in the mainstream stores. That's kind of a funny story. So when someone wants to play Heroscape, ask them if they got Hot Lava Death, and you can play along. So anyway, how would I rate this game? It's a tough one to rate. It's something that either sounds like you're going to like it or you won't. If you like this type of competitive game, it's a good solid A-. It's not too complex, but it's a good way to get in. I don't have any of the other games of this ilk, so I enjoy it. If it doesn't sound like it's something you'd like, just two armies fighting it out. There isn't much else there. So I would pass on it. So with that, I'll thank you for joining me. For more information on my vlogs, go to boardgameswithscott.com. And with that, I will see you later. Bye-bye. This is obviously one of the expansions that comes in the Heroscape game. This is the Darwin Cat Expansion, who decided to investigate while I was trying to do my vlog. Thanks, Darwin.